Welcome into windy Wilkins Stadium for a little bit of history today for the Wichita State Shocker softball team. I'm Steve Strand along with Jamie Hull as we've got softball tonight, the first of 3 games. The first 3 games for the Wichita State Shockers and conference play as members of the American Athletic Conference. First pitch between Wichita State and Memphis tonight, moments away. And Jamie, we've got 2 very good teams here at play tonight. Wichita State, of course, Shocker fans very familiar with this team, the success they've had. The Shockers come in with an overall record of 16-10, just wrapping up the first part of the season with some very, very difficult non-conference games. But let's talk about this Memphis team, 21-7 on the season, and they are getting it done both at the plate and inside the circle as well.
Yeah, when you look over the notes about Memphis, you're going to see a lot of very impressive stats. So far, they're already ranked nationally in a ton of different spots. Their freshmen are playing phenomenal so far, so I'm really excited to see the 2 teams match up when they're both doing so well and have faced so many great teams thus far.
Memphis is off to their best start in program history. 28 games into the season to go 21-7 overall matches their best start. You have to go back to 2011 when they had the same record. This team also, though, is in the top 10 in both batting average and team ERA, and that's why I say they're getting it done at the plate and in the circle. There are only 2 other teams in the country that can say that, so a very great start for them, hitting-wise and pitching-wise. And there's the person who's going to have some pressure on her, Bailey Lang, to keep the Tigers off the base paths today, looking for her 10th win of the season. First pitch of the game, bouncing ball to second, fielded over at second by Kaylee Hecker. The throw to first not in time, and just like that, a base hit on the infield for the Tigers. They've got their leadoff batter aboard. That was Kyler Trosclair-Klatt before we could even get through our intro that's on at first base with a base hit. So a runner at first, Trosclair-Klatt, and we're going to hear a lot of numbers like that because of this team batting average, Jamie, but she was batting .438 coming into the game, and now how about Bailey Smith at .472? So they have really struck the ball well, especially up at the top of the lineup.
Yeah, you don't see anyone under really 300 until you hit about the 8 or 9 hole spot, and they're just shy of it at 292.
Chopped foul behind the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Bailey Lang has her hands full here, starting game 1 of a 3-game series. And already, Jamie, we notice a huge difference between American Athletic Conference softball and what we're used to in the Missouri Valley Conference, because we used to have the double headers on Saturday and a single game Sunday, and ouch, a throw down to first base after a failed bunt attempt. And Trosclair-Klatt just got hit in the back of the helmet. She's a little shaken up and is going to have to walk that one off. Smith had squared to bunt, came up empty. The count's 1-2, and then Madison Paragon behind the plate threw to first, and Riley Buck wasn't there, and that one just sailed right to the bag. And fortunately, Trosclair-Klatt is okay. The 1-2 lifted center field right there is going to be Bailey Nickerson. She'll make the catch, 1 away. I mentioned Riley Buck's at first base, Kaylee Hecker's at second, Lori Derrico's at short, Mackenzie Wright's over at third, the outfield from left to right, Morgan Palmer, Bailey Nickerson, and Asia Weber gets the start in right field. No Paige Llewellyn in a right. Llewellyn is in the batting lineup as you see Nickerson make the catch there. But Paige will be the designated player today, but not play defensively. Madison Paragon behind the plate, and of course Bailey Lang, center of the circle for Wichita State. So runner at first, 1 away now for Addison Maxwell, who's hitting at .329 on the season. This one foul over toward the third base coach's box. Bailey Lang making her 22nd start of the year. This is her 22nd appearance of the year, her 16th start. As I mentioned, she's looking for her 10th win. 90 2/3 innings for Lang, far and away the most on this Shocker squad. The lefty delivers, swing and a miss, and down goes Maxwell on a strikeout swinging. First strikeout of the game for Bailey Lang.
It's a huge out for Bailey Lang. You know, as a pitcher for Wichita State, you really want to focus on getting the outs when you can, especially in a great hitting situation with Memphis up to the plate. So having one runner on, that's some pressure for a defense in your first inning. So making sure that you're getting those outs when you can, that's a big strikeout for Maxwell, who has a great average so far this season.
Ashley Threed is up to the plate now with the runner at first and 2 away. Threed at 362 on the year. Another lefty versus lefty matchup. That one down low. This is the third ever meeting between these two teams. They played a doubleheader back in 2010. That's the only other time Wichita State and Memphis have played. They played 2 in February of 2010. They split that doubleheader, by the way. 2 balls and a strike to count here. Interesting little nugget about that Wichita State win over Memphis 8 years plus ago. The winning pitcher of that game, none other than...
That'd be me.
Jamie Hull.
That was me.
How about that?
Man, 8+ years ago, that made me feel a little old now that I think back to it.
Slicer the other way into left field. Runners at first and second for Memphis with 2 away. Do you remember that game?
You know, I remember traveling to Memphis, and the team had a really good time while we were there. The weather was great. We actually at the time, our assistant coach Holly Burris, it was around her hometown that we were visiting. So around St. Patty's Day, like you know, that time of year. So it was a lot of fun being in that area. They do a lot of celebrating. So we had a good time. Good little series with Memphis.
Delaney Smith steps in now, first and second, 2 away. So the inning started with an infield base hit, then it went fly out strikeout, but then Ashley Threet single to left, puts him at first and second with 2 away, and a swing and a miss to Smith. 0-2. Bailey Lang is ahead on the count here. Lang has struck out 104 on the season, 30 walks. Opponents are batting .221 against her. This one sails upstairs, 1 ball and 2 strikes. In 90 2/3 coming into the game, Lang had surrendered 77 hits and walked 30. 34 earned runs allowed. Lifted left field. Wind is going to carry this one a little bit further out, but coming in is Morgan Palmer, and she'll make the catch. So a couple of singles sandwiched in between that 2 outs. No damage done after half an inning. Memphis nothing. Shockers coming up.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Well, Memphis threatened in the top of the first inning. They come up empty. Now we'll see what Wichita State does in the first half inning at bat for the Shockers as members of the American Athletic Conference in a conference game. Steve Strain, Jamie Hull with you on a Friday of softball. 3 o'clock first pitch tomorrow, and then 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, and that will allow Memphis to get back on the road. So glad you've joined us today, and hopefully you'll be with us all weekend long. If you're in Wichita, as much as we'd love for you to watch, the weather is going to be fantastic this weekend, so come on out if you get a chance. There's Molly Smith, the starting pitcher for Memphis, and boy, is she putting together a terrific season. 12-3 the record, and Jamie, 2 things stand out there. Her 1.0 earned run average. Opponents also, and you may not have seen that in the graphic, are hitting less than 200 against her. 187 is all. Wichita State's going to have their hands full. First pitch to Mackenzie Wright, to ball 1-0.
Another stat to note about Smith is the strikeouts. 126 strikeouts thus far in her senior season, so definitely doing what it takes to give this Memphis team the opportunity to win every ball game that she pitches.
And that's only against 29 walks. That one closed. She's working the outer edge against Mackenzie Wright. She's just barely missed twice. 2 balls and no strikes. Molly Smith is from Yamhill, Oregon. She's a senior, and she is putting together a spectacular season. 2 balls and no strikes to Mackenzie Wright. And there's one in, 2-1. Wright on the year, 289, no homers and a run batted in. Mackenzie has really upped that batting average, Jamie, here in the last couple of weeks. She was around 250 when we saw the Shockers for their home opener against Arkansas a few weeks ago, and then that back-to-back days of doubleheaders, she started to hit the ball really well, and now she's got it up almost to 290. So she's raised it nearly 40 points in a couple of weeks. A hot smash there, but on one hop, fielded by Claire Klatt. She'll throw to first for a 6-3 putout, and there's one away. Ashley Threets at first base for Memphis. Brooke Lee is the second baseman. Kyler Claire Klatt, who just made that play at short, is the shortstop. Aaron Parker at third, and then Bailey Smith, Delaney Smith, and Addison Maxwell, the outfield from left to right. Reagan Hadley behind the plate as you look at the defensive alignment for Memphis, and shading her eyes in the center of the circle is Molly Smith, and that's really played some tricks on her here early. You can see her shading her eyes between pitches, and you have to hope that there's not a hot shot comebacker right at her, because right now where the sun is, Jamie, it's tough on both of those pitchers out there in the circle where the sun is. Bailey Nickerson, the batter. 0-1 the count to her. In on the fists, and she fouls it back out of play. Temperature a little over 70 degrees at first pitch. The wind just over 20 miles an hour as well, though, and it's blowing out of the south, which means it's blowing out to left field. So we could very well see some fireworks today, although 2 very good pitchers, but with that wind and the hitting abilities of these 2 teams, you shouldn't be surprised at all if we see some sail out to left. Here's the 0-2. Back to the screen, still 0-2. Wichita State has their team batting average at 268 now, so it is also on the climb since we saw the Shockers in their home opener here a few weeks ago against Arkansas. How about the team ERA for Memphis, though? 1.3. Largely because of number 9 there in the center of the circle, Molly Smith. 1-2. Took something off, and that one misses away. The count is level at 2-2. Or excuse me, that was ball 1.
You know, we talk about the strikeouts for Molly Smith. She ranks 7th nationally in shutouts. She has 6 so far this year. Definitely someone who Memphis is going to lean on the rest of her career with their program.
Swing and a miss, and down goes Nickerson. That one was not in the zone. Bailey was fooled and went after it. And 2 up and 2 down for Lori Derrico. Well, that one really went down and away from Nickerson, and Bailey went after it and comes up empty. So here's Derrico now. Lori had a very productive trip to Nebraska last week when the Shockers played the games against Iowa and Creighton. A swing and a miss there.
Yeah, Derrico is definitely going to be that offensive power for Wichita State here in the 3 spot for their offense. You know, she's definitely someone as a junior who has made a mark offensively at Wichita State. She's somewhere right toward the top as far as the 321 batting average, right behind senior Paige Llewellyn, who's coming up behind her. But she does a really good job leading this program by example. You know, she's not the loudest, most outgoing person you're going to interact with, but when she gets up to the plate and she works on defense, she's going to do what she can to lead this team as best as possible in her position.
0-2 here, and the pitch to Lori is away. She was on the weekly honor roll for her performance on the field for the American Athletic Conference last weekend. She had a grand slam home run against Creighton, and she's riding an 8-game winning streak. So she's got the average up to 321 with 3 homers and 16 runs batted in. Smith shades the eyes, delivers, and Derrico sends this one out of play. Count still 1-2. Derrico doing a good job of staying alive here. Christy Bredbender down at third base for Wichita State, their head coach. Ryan Stefankowicz, their pitching coach, is also the first base coach, and he's camped out there, hoping he'll get paid a visit by Derrico with the count 1-2. Outside to even things up.
So far, you see Smith doing a lot of, being able to pitch out of the zone to this Wichita State lineup thus far. That's because she's ahead. As a pitcher, she can kind of throw what she needs to because she's starting off with strikes against this offense, and she's moving forward with some balls out of the zone, trying to get the Shockers to fish. See a lot of upspin coming from her, a little bit of a rise ball, a little bit of a curve ball. So she's really being able to work to her own advantage when she's staying ahead of this Wichita State lineup.
Time called momentarily, and we're set to go again. Nobody on. 2-2 with 2 away to Lori Derrico, and Smith delivers. Driven, left field. Backing up is Smith, still going back, and gone! And a homer for Derrico, and the Shockers have taken a 1-0 lead. She got it up into the jet stream, and the wind helped sail it out of here, and the Shockers have drawn first blood.
Lori Derrico, I tell you, she looked like she had full control in this at bat. Like I mentioned, Smith had some opportunities to get the ball out of the zone, and she puts it right in the wheelhouse for Derrico to take it long, picking up her 4th home run so far this season. And just like you said, Steve, the wind just helped carry and carry and carry, along with the power that Derrico provided from the plate.
Tell you what helped her there, certainly. She hit that one a mile high. And of course, the higher you hit that, the more the wind is going to help it. And it certainly did right there. Not to say Lori wouldn't have gotten it out here anyway, but certainly the wind didn't hurt. Lori will probably take it either way. 1-0 Wichita State. Paige Llewellyn steps in now. But we were just talking moments ago about how that wind might well help send some out that way, and there's a perfect example there. Shockers with the lead. The pitch to Llewellyn, outside. Paige, the designated player for Wichita State today. She is not in right field. May have tweaked something on her leg last weekend, but we were watching her run in warm-ups, and if she's hurt, she's not looking like it. Fouled back and out of play. Shockers still have her very valuable bat in the lineup, though. Llewellyn, .379, 4 homers, and 22 runs batted in on the season. One of the best at getting on base this program has seen, and a senior leader as well. Here's the 1-2. Close, but not quite. 2-2. Madison Perrigan waits on deck. The 2-2. Hot shot to third. Nice play by Parker, and a strong throw to first in time. Good reflexes there. But Wichita State on the board first, thanks to Lori Derrico sending one out to left. We go to the second. 1-0 Shockers. One inning in the books from Wichita, and there's Bailey Lang now given a 1-0 lead. The Shockers have one hit. Memphis State has two, but Wichita State made the most out of theirs. A solo homer for Lori Derrico in the bottom of the first inning. And Bailey Lang is now in the center of the circle with her Shockers leading Memphis by the score of 1-0. Brooke Lee will lead it out for the Tigers. Lee, Reagan Hadley, and Kendall Lee, 6, 7, and 8 in the order, and there's a bouncing ball to Hecker, and she'll easily toss over to first. One pitch, one away here in the top of the second inning. Jamie, we've noticed a trend already for this Memphis team. They're aggressive. Remember, Kyler Trosclair-Klatt's infield base hit to start the game was on the very first pitch she saw. And Brooke Lee, the first pitch of the inning here, first pitch swinging as well.
Yeah, so far you can see they've hit the ball usually within the first 3 pitches they've seen. So maybe that's just something that they, attack, and that's part of their offensive plan each game. It's certainly been something that's worked for them so far. But today, nothing against the Shockers just yet.
0-1. And now 1-1. Well, if you're a pitcher, you don't mind that if they're outs, because not that there's nearly as much emphasis on pitch count in softball, but still, from a confidence standpoint, to get in and out of an inning pretty quickly has to make you feel pretty good.
Well, and it also helps the defense, too. You know, when you have a lot of balls in a row or a lot of foul balls, you kind of get out of your rhythm a little bit and your consistency is kind of off. But this is going to give your chance to the defense to really stay in tune with the game, stay approachable, understand that the ball can come to you at any time, especially early in the count. So you're not really standing around too much. You're ready to go each pitch.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Reagan Hadley. It brings up an interesting point, too, as it pertains to no more double headers. And I'll run that thought by you after this pitch, which just misses. But I was reading in the Roundhouse at GoShockers.com. Paul Sullentrop does a tremendous job, by the way, with his contributions there. But he was talking with Coach Brett Benner about her philosophy handling starting pitchers with no more double headers. And wanted to get your thoughts on if that might change things, and if so, how. Is issue to walk is Reagan Hadley. But how do you feel like coaches in the American work their pitching staffs differently as opposed to the Valley, where you had the Saturday doubleheader, then the Sunday single game, versus what we have now, which is Friday, Saturday, Sunday single games?
Yeah, you typically would see a different pitcher in your game too, of course, because your first pitcher had probably gone the full 7, hopefully, having had a good game out. But when you see game splits through the days like that, through the weekend, you definitely have the opportunity. If Lang is hot going into tomorrow, in this type of game with pitching with such a natural motion, she can absolutely come back out here if that's the best game plan for the Shockers this weekend. But, when you have a full staff, you've got 3, 4, 5 pitchers on a staff, you might get to see them all with an opportunity each day. Softball, we all grow up knowing that every single tournament you're out there, you're going to play back-to-back games, and sometimes you pitch every single game if you're the go-to in crucial situations, which the conference kind of is that. So we'll see what both teams tend to do and what the Shockers' plan is here in the American Conference.
Kendall Lee takes a ball. That one was very close. 2 balls and a strike. The count to her. 292 with the average for Lee. A couple homers, 12 runs batted in. She, by the way, is the designated player for Memphis. She is batting for the pitcher, Molly Smith. And she takes an off speed that's in there. And the scoreboard said 2 strikes, but she's still there. That's now 2-2. Off speed and close, the count's full. Lee is from Lakeland, Tennessee. Fouls this one back to the screen and stays alive 3-2. She is just a freshman. Boy, we've seen some really good freshmen here at Wilkins Stadium for our opponents this season. Three and two, and another one. Lined, gap, right center field. That's going to bounce to the fence. It's going to be an extra base hit. Hadley is going to stop at third. And now the throw gets away. Good job by Lang to back it up. And now they've got 2 runners at third. A base running error by Kendall Lee. Now a throw to the plate, and they've got a run down here for Hadley. And she's going to get tagged out on a big base running miscue from Kendall Lee, as she didn't stop at second base, but Reagan Hadley had stopped at third, and the Shockers get a very, very big out right there. So it's going to go as a double, but then Lee have to retrieve back to second base. Reagan Hadley, though, got tagged out, and here it is again.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate situation for Memphis. I think Lee just got a little too excited about that hit, thinking that potentially Hadley took off for home, and she had the opportunity to take third base, and you see her getting tagged out here by the third baseman, Mackenzie Wright, for Wichita State. So definitely a big turnaround for the WSU defense, but an unfortunate situation for the Memphis offense here.
And I believe that was 81625. And indeed, that's exactly what it was. And let's go back to Bailey Lang, alertly backing up that throw to the plate, which was obviously wide up the third baseline, but Lang was alertly there, and then all of a sudden the Shockers saw the opportunity to get somebody out on the base paths.
Yeah, and you got to wonder if Lee maybe didn't realize that Lang was there for that catch, because the ball was definitely off and would have given the opportunity back to Hadley to definitely come in and score. But good job and heads up play by Bailey Lang.
Erin Parker is the batter now, the number 9 hitter in the Memphis lineup, and she chops the first pitch away, 0-1 to her. So can Memphis move Lee around from second base? And it's really unfortunate for Memphis if they don't get the run here, because Lee is the one that actually made the base running mistake, but it was the runner at third, Hadley, that then gets tagged out. And probably Hadley would have been better served just to stay at third. And then you've got at least a runner at third. Instead, Wichita State's going to escape. No damage done on the bouncer to third. So Memphis threatens. Base running miscue. They come up empty after an inning and a half. Shockers with a 1-0 lead.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Well, the Wichita State Shockers right back up there to add to their 1-0 lead after Memphis threatened in the second inning, and now Jamie Memphis has threatened in each of the first 2 innings. And this Memphis team is a very good team. There's no question about it, but so is Wichita State. And when you don't capitalize on opportunities like Memphis has had, a team like Wichita State is going to make you pay for that, and they can put you away. So, you know, Memphis is kicking themselves right now.
Yeah, you look at both of these two teams, and they're going to say every run counts. So we're going to do whatever it takes, either A, to score, or B, to make sure you don't score. And Wichita State did a great job the first 2 innings of this game, making sure that even though the Tigers have 3 hits, that they're not going to come around and score. And so this is their opportunity to advance and hopefully add some insurance run for this Wichita State lineup.
Madison Perrigan in now, and the first pitch to her is outside for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes to Perrigan. Shockers would like to see her get the stick going. Just .229 with the batting average. 3 homers and 16 runs batted in. Well, that might help, except for a leaping catch by Brooke Lee. Boy, a snow cone out at second as Perrigan really makes good contact there. Boy, that's frustrating if you're Perrigan, Jamie. Struggling at 229 to put the screws on that one, only to have it right at the second baseman.
That's a phenomenal play. You saw in the replay there, her timing was perfect. She waited on her feet as long as possible until she absolutely needed to jump with all her might into the air. That definitely shows some senior leadership, knowing exactly what it takes to make a big out for her team.
Riley Buck in now and takes a strike, 0-1. Riley's got it going, 319 with the average. Homer and 10 runs batted in. Pulls this one foul, 0-2. The records not necessarily close. Wichita State and Memphis. Memphis 21-7, Wichita State 16-10, but we all know that schedule the Shockers had in non-conference was very, very tough. One of the toughest in the country, in fact, if you look at collective RPI of their opponents. No balls and 2 strikes to Buck, who will have to protect the plate now. And Smith had one to burn, and she tossed it low and in.
You know, Steve, speaking of the American Conference, when you look at the overall rankings preseason, when we were kind of checking out exactly how the American would fall in place for the softball standings, the Shockers were selected 5th and the Tigers 6th. So I think both of them might end up moving up the rankings and come a little bit more out on top than expected.
Chopper back to Smith. She'll hustle in front of the circle and throw to first for a 1-3 putout. 2 away. Did you pay attention to preseason rankings as a player?
No, I didn't. I think that, you know, it's tough to tell. I think you're really based off of first who you lost and kind of what your lineups looked like the year before, but you're also, you know, Wichita State's new to this conference, so it's kind of a guess as far as how things are going to turn out. But honestly, when you look at these 2 teams and the way they've played so far, I'd be shocked to see them finish in where they were selected preseason.
Wichita State's team RPI is 26th right now. That is best in the American Athletic Conference. However, it is a stacked conference as this one is sent foul left side by Asia Weber. And the count to her is 1 ball and 1 strike. Nobody in the American, Jamie, has an RPI below 150. 5 teams, however, in the conference are in the top 100. So it is locked and loaded. And this Memphis team is one of the very good teams in this league as well. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count to Asia Weber. Smith ready. Just above the letters. Weber holds off, 2-1. Weber, the number 7 hitter in the Wichita State lineup. Bailey Lang, the pitcher, waits on deck. But there are 2 outs here in the inning. We'll see if Asia can get aboard. There's a strike. The count's even at 2-2. Shadows starting to creep up the third baseline and into fair territory. They will be here in a few more minutes. The 2-2 lifted over on the left side. Parker, the third baseman, over. Battles the wind a little bit and makes the catch. And Wichita State goes in order. We've played 2. Shockers by 1.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
The Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes is the perfect place to spend time with family and friends. Open to the public, the Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes features 8 bowling lanes, billiard tables, plus great food and beverages like freshly made burgers, sandwiches, salads, cold beer, and more. The Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes, located in the lower level of the Radigan Student Center, is the perfect place for kids' birthday parties, group events, or a night out with friends. Stop by and see them. Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes, underneath the Radigan Student Center. All right, here we go. Third inning. Top of the order for Memphis, and that means Kyler Trosclair-Klatt steps in. And the first pitch from Bailey Lang is in there for a strike, 0-1. Jamie, did the softball team not have a recent outing to the Shocker Sports Grill and Lanes? I thought I saw on social media that they did.
Yeah, I think they do a little bit of something with like their campers and stuff, and then they'll actually go just to have a little bit of fun as a team. So it's fun to get together when you can outside of the field.
Trosclair-Klatt is going to head to third base here, and she's going to get there. And Memphis has their leadoff batter in scoring position as Kyler Trosclair-Klatt is on base for the second time in as many at-bats. Well, she sent that one to right center field and motors around to third.
Yeah, as a team, Memphis actually ranks second in the nation in triples per game. So that's definitely something that they're used to seeing. Obviously, with Trosclair's speed, that's definitely an opportunity when you get it out into that gap. Gives you a chance to go all the way around.
First pitch to Bailey Smith, a strike. That is Trosclair-Klatt, Jamie's 8th triple of the season, and that is the 16th for Memphis as a team. So she's got half of their 16 triples.
Yeah, that's some speed. I don't know that I maybe had 1 triple.
Yeah?
Yeah, comparatively, the speed just wasn't there, Steve. It's just not what I was known for.
Well, you know, also to get a triple, you've got to. There are very few places in the ballpark where you can put the ball in play and get a triple. It's hard to do from a placement perspective as well.
Absolutely. Takes a lot of finesse, a lot of speed, and that senior there on third base definitely knows how to do it.
2 balls and a strike, the count to Bailey Smith, who popped out to center back in the first inning. Wichita State leading 1-0. Ripped left field. Palmer coming on. She's going to have to play it on a hop, and that'll get the run home. We're tied at 1 on the RBI single by Bailey Smith. '23rd run batted into the season for Smith, and it comes in the top of the third inning, and we start all over at 1 apiece. So Addison Maxwell will step in now. Bunting, and it's up the first baseline. Riley Buck will throw to the second baseman, Hecker, so that's a 3-4 sacrifice, but it does the job as Smith goes down to second base. So 1 away now for Ashley Threet. And there's a soft little liner to second. Hecker is there, and she'll make the catch. So Threat retired for the first time after a first inning single. And with 2 away, that'll bring up Delaney Smith. Sure are seeing a lot better weather than we saw here a couple of weekends ago, aren't we?
Yeah, you really can't complain about the weather like this in the spring. You know, when you're in the Midwest, you're typically looking for just about anything. You might have wind, you might have rain, you might have snow, you might have heat. You just really don't know. And here we are in March with a really nice little weekend ahead of us.
Bouncing ball up the middle. Smith gets a base hit. They're going to send Smith around, and the throw home is late. And Memphis has taken a 2-1 lead on an RBI single for Delaney Smith. Well, we talked about Memphis not capitalizing on opportunities, but they have here in the third, Jamie. They got a leadoff triple and 2 base hits since, and that's going to get Ryan Stefankowitz out of the dugout and out to the circle to talk to his pitcher. And Jamie, this is the second time through the lineup for Memphis, and you wonder if maybe they're starting to get a beat and a read on Bailey Lang.
Yeah, you can see that they're definitely capitalizing again on the early half of the at-bat, not taking a whole lot of pitches and letting the, letting Bailey Lang catch a groove. Instead, they're taking advantage and hitting the first, second, or even third pitch of the at-bat. So definitely doing a good job of adjusting here, and now it's just up to Wichita State to stop the bleeding.
Now we'll see if Lang is able to make an adjustment back again and regain control. First pitch here to Brooke Lee is outside. Shadows now all the way up around the third base edge of the pitcher's circle, nearest to third base. So that ball is in sunshine, not for long, as this one is fouled back and out of play on the right side. 1 ball and 1 strike to Lee, who led off the second inning by grounding out to second. She's 0 for 1.
Brooke Lee definitely has the opportunity for power here. She has one of those triples that we talked about with Memphis's just kind of crazy amount of triples that they have as a team. She also has 5 home runs, 21 RBI, slugging percentage in the high 500. So someone who definitely provides some power for this lineup.
16 triples, as I mentioned earlier, from Memphis, 6 for Wichita State. Bouncing ball to short. Derrico is going to step on the bag, and that'll take care of that, but not before a couple of scores for Memphis after a leadoff triple by Kyler Trosclair-Klatt got it started. After 2.5, now it's Memphis with the 1-run lead. Wichita State will come to the plate for the first time tonight after trailing as Memphis scratched 2 across in the top of the third inning. They lead the Shockers by the score of 2-1. 6 hits for Memphis in the game, and they've scored 2, just 1 for Wichita State, but that was a solo homer in the first inning by Lori Derrico. It'll be Bailey Lang that'll lead it off for Wichita State, the Shocker pitcher, to get it started, then Morgan Palmer, and back to the top of the order with Mackenzie Wright. So 8, 9, and 1 in the inning here for the Shockers, trailing by 1. The lights are on over at X Stadium, where the Shocker baseball team is playing Furman tonight to open up a 3-game series, as Lang fouls this one over toward the dugout. Nice effort by Erin Parker there, but she came up empty. Are the lights on here? They'll be on here before much longer. Busy night on campus though. Baseball across the way and softball here. Smith shading her eyes, and here comes the 0-1. It's outside.
Wichita State students are celebrating spring break. This is the final day of spring break for the college students here on campus at Wichita State. So got some bat and ball sports to come out and watch and support during their time off.
The 1-1 is a little low and away. I think it's always fun around campus. You don't like to to have to compete and give people a choice of where to go, baseball or softball. But from an atmosphere standpoint, to know that there's baseball going on right beyond the center field wall and softball here, a lot of energy on campus when the two teams are home, I feel like, at the same time, especially with the ballparks so close together. And both of them doing so well. 3-1. Remember last year, the two teams were rarely at home at the same time. And there were occasions where we saw some of the baseball players over here watching the softball team and vice versa. 3 balls and a strike, the count to Bailey Lang. Chops it at the plate, and the count's full. Bailey has gotten the hitting going, Jamie. Remember how much we talked about her struggles at the plate during that first homestand. She's got the average now up to 292. And during that weekend of double headers, she really became a doubles machine for this team. And she's got now 2 homers and 11 runs batted in. So, boy, is it good to see her producing down towards the bottom of the lineup.
Yeah, and as a transfer student coming in from Northern Iowa, a great pickup by Wichita State.
Staying alive, fouling one off, 3-2.
Talk about somebody who's so athletic. Bailey Lang doing it both in the circle, at the plate. 7 for 7 when she's on base with her stolen base attempts. She's got the second most in the American so far this season. So just talk about an all-around, just very athletic player for this program.
Second on the team now with 5 doubles, 1 behind Lori Derrico. She thought about it, and she'll get first base after a full count walk, and Lang down at first, so a good eye for Lori, or excuse me, for Bailey. And Morgan Palmer will step in now. Well, that's big, Jamie, because Molly Smith does not give up many free passes. That was just her 30th of the season in more than 112 innings of work now, against 126 strikeouts coming into the game. So if she gives you a free pass, you had best capitalize, because it's not going to happen often. Morgan Palmer sends the first pitch foul on a bunt attempt. Erin Parker's getting a workout over at third.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. A lot of running around, a lot of hustle over here. She's got a lot of room over here on the third base side here at Wilkins Stadium, so she's working it. I think one of these times she's going to come up with a great snag, because she's absolutely providing the hustle it takes to do it.
Morgan Palmer with the count at 190. That may have been an illegal pitch. I think they've called, in fact, just that, an illegal pitch. It's 1-0. So wipe away the strike. Low and away. Actually, okay, Bailey Lang left early, and Bailey is out. So the count's 1-1 at the plate, but they've called Bailey Lang out. Now who's on the bunt play for leaving the bag early. So there's 1 away now, and so much for the leadoff walk. Just as you talk about capitalizing when you get a free pass, well, so much for that.
Yeah, not a good turn of events for Wichita State. When you get a leadoff walk, that's your opportunity to get that girl all the way around, and Bailey Lang's speed is certainly something that could have helped out Wichita State. Unfortunately, just taken off a little too early, and good heads-up call from the umpires.
So Palmer swinging away now, and the count was actually 1 ball and no strikes. Now it's 1-1 with the foul out of play, 1-1. So now the aces are wild. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Bottom of the third, Shockers down by 1. There you can see the shadows. Those on the right side of the playing field, both on the infield and outfield, are having to shade the eyes.
Molly Smith, the pitcher, no longer having to do that, which I'm sure she's excited about.
Palmer's going to bunt here, but that one foul up the third baseline, 1-2. Morgan at 190 on the season, no homers, 3 runs batted in. Palmer appeared in just 8 games last season. This one fouled back and out of play. Palmer had a big game earlier this season in that win against Texas. That's one that I would imagine in a place like that, against an opponent like that, you'll remember that one for a long time. 1 and 2. Fouled back to the screen again. I mean, it's hard through a 4-year playing career to remember everything, Jamie, but aren't there certain times probably like that for her, certain games, certain moments that still stand out?
Yeah, I have that in common with her, actually. You know, growing up in Dallas, Texas, it was, you know, one of those things that you were just automatically a Longhorn fan growing up until you were introduced to some more programs. And we played against them here at Wichita State whenever I was a player, and we beat them. And it was a huge, most memorable game I think I'll ever have and had in my career, was playing at Austin and winning against the Longhorns here for the Shockers.
Boy, did Morgan Palmer watch one get pulled on her right there. Molly Smith yanked the string, took something off, and Palmer was frozen at the plate, caught looking, and down she goes. Second strikeout of the game for Smith, and we'll go back to the top of the order now with Mackenzie Wright. That was a really good off-speed pitch right there. Little flare down the first baseline, and that's going to be a foul ball, as Threat stepped on into foul territory to glove that one. That one had a lot of spin on it.
Yeah, you saw another off-speed pitch coming from Smith, and definitely had, you know, Mackenzie Wright a little off balance. You can see it spinning off here and going straight into the foul territory, and then off the glove of Threat. So definitely one with a lot of wicked spin coming from Smith.
In fact, the first base umpire wants to take a look at it and make sure it's not too scuffed up. So no balls and a strike to Mackenzie, who really hit one hard in the bottom of the first inning, but it was a bouncer to short that Trosclair Klatt made look pretty easy, and it wasn't. Mackenzie hit it hard, but was retired 6-3 on the ground out. Time is called. Something, I think a ball might have slipped onto the field in left field or something, and they've taken care of that down in the corner, and we'll try it again. Smith delivers high and tight for a ball. 1-1. Mackenzie's been such a big part of this program her entire career, one of the senior leaders for this team now. And tight for a ball, 2-1. And they need her to get on base, and she's starting to do more of that now.
Absolutely. You know, when you get into conference play, this is the time to really turn it on. And if anyone's gotten hot leading into this series, it's definitely Mackenzie Wright and a few of the other Shockers. You know, we talked about Lori Derrico. There's just a lot that goes on. You work out the kinks in the early part of the season to really prepare for this part against the conference opponents.
Slicer, right field. She's not going to get on here. Is a nice catch by Maxwell. Almost overran it, then reached back and made the catch. And the side retired. So the Shockers get a leadoff walk, but still, Molly Smith faces the minimum. After Mackenzie Wright sends a slicer to right field, we'll see it again as we go to the break. Shockers trail by 1.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Top of the 4th inning from Wilkins Stadium. Reagan Hadley to get it started for Memphis, with her Tigers leading Wichita State 1-0, and Hadley sends one foul. 0-1 to her. Hadley, Kendall Lee, and Aaron Parker are the bottom three in the lineup for Memphis. 7, 8, 9. They'll be due up this inning. Pitch just misses away. I think this is an important half inning for Bailey Lang, Jamie, because we saw the Memphis hitters, as we talked about, start to get a beat on her pitching, and now Bailey, after the offense went quickly in the bottom of the third, has their defense right back out there again. You don't want Memphis to keep that momentum offensively.
Yeah, this is really where it comes into play when you've got your 7, 8, 9 up to bat, that you really have to, do what you can to get the 3 outs in a row and get your team back into the offensive swing and provide them a little opportunity to see more pitches and have more opportunities to provide a little bit more runs too.
2 balls and 2 strikes, the count to Hadley, who walked back in the second inning. That one foul over toward the Shocker dugout. Hadley is the one that got retired after the double by the on-deck batter Kendall Lee. She walked, and then Lee had a double to right center field, but Kendall Lee, trying to stretch the double into heading to third on a throw home, didn't realize that Hadley was still at third base, and Hadley's the one that got into a rundown and eventually got tagged out. Wichita State escaped that inning unscathed, and here Hadley's going to ground out to second. So a 4-3 put out to start the fourth, and here comes Kendall Lee.
It's a nice hard hit off the end of the bat here, providing a nice play too by Kaylee Hecker. Came right to her, but sometimes those can be the toughest plays as an infielder, to know kind of the speed and the last minute hops, and she did a great job staying in front and getting the out.
Kendall Lee steps in now, swings and misses, 0-1 to her. Fouled off the screen on the right side, 0-2. Lee's double, by the way, back in the second inning, Jamie, was her first of the year. She was so excited she wanted to keep going to third, but somebody was there. That one away, 1-2. She does have a triple on the season. That particular play would not have been a triple. She was trying to advance to third on a throw home. She just didn't realize that third base was still occupied by a teammate. 1-2. Swing and a miss, and down she goes. So far, so good in Lang, shutting the Memphis bats down here in the fourth, as Aaron Parker steps in now.
It's a nice pitch. You can see that it goes up in the zone just toward the end. It's off the outside part of the plate, so a great spot. Again, we talk about just pitchers staying ahead. They can pitch where they want and to their strengths, and Lang did a great job staying ahead in that account.
Parker chops one foul over toward the third base on deck circle, 0-1. Just the second strikeout of the game for Bailey Lang, and the first was all the way back in the first inning to Addison Maxwell, the third batter of the game. Tipped it into the glove of Perrigan, 0-2. If you look at the score sheet, Jamie, it's a pretty good mix of groundouts and flyouts that Lang is getting, but not the strikeouts. That's okay, however you can get them. Fouled back and out of play. This Memphis team, Jamie, is a tough out. No matter how you get it, you really can't complain whether you're on with the strikeouts or not, as long as you get them off the base paths. Parker's a pretty tough out, speaking of, for a number 9 hitter, batting .292 on the year. She's going to watch an 0-2 sail low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Again, the 10th best hitting team average-wise in the country is Memphis. And they're also number 10 in team ERA. This one off the glove of Lang over to Hecker, and a nice play that's going to be a 1-4-3 put out off the deflection, but it works. Memphis goes in order for the first time. Shockers up halfway home, down by 1.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Well, the last play ended up not being a 1-4-3 putout because Aaron Parker was called out for leaving the batter's box early. You saw the home plate umpire right as she left the box. He was getting up to motion. She's out right then and there for leaving the box early. So it still results in an out. Just here it is again. Watch the home plate umpire right as, well, this is actually a shocker at that. Nonetheless, it was not a 1-4-3 putout. Instead, Aaron Parker left the batter's box early. So, Shockers up, bottom of the 4th, trailing 1-0. Bailey Nickerson, trailing 2-1. Bailey Nickerson steps in to lead off the bottom of the 4th inning. On a Friday night and a nice one from the Wilk. Molly Smith is ready. And here comes a pitch. Driven, left center field, deep and gone. And Bailey Nickerson hits her 3rd of the year, and we're tied at 2. Wait until you see the replay, Jamie. Watch the outfielders, Smith and Smith, in left and center. They don't move. They knew this one was gone right away, as so did Bailey, getting every bit of that one. Look at the outfielders. They knew it.
Yeah, you really can't even say that the wind did much help on that one because just off the bat, Bailey Nickerson put her head down, started running to second base. She's excited, pumped up for her team. Back at the very beginning, we're back to a 2-2 game, so anything can happen here at Wilkins Stadium.
Here's Lori Derrico, who's got the other home run for Wichita State. And how about the Shockers making the most of their base hits? That's their 2nd base hit of the game, both of them solo homers. Memphis, meanwhile, has 6 hits. They've only got 2 runs to show for it. Breaking ball in there for a strike to Derrico, 2-1. Two balls and no strikes, excuse me. I believe that was called a strike, the last pitch. Well, it's a moot point now as this one's to center field. Delaney Smith is there and makes the catch. How big is it, Jamie, for the Shockers if Bailey Nickerson starts to get going? She's got Mackenzie right in front of her, Lori Derrico behind her in the batting order. If you get that number 2 spot going, especially with power, but even if she's just hitting and getting on base consistently, that would be huge for that top part of the lineup, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And Bailey Nickerson, came out her freshman season so far this year, huge. I mean, she's had some power so far. As you said, Steve, that being her 3rd home run of the season. So she definitely has that chance to do it. .418 slugging percentage. So in a 2-hole spot, man, that provides you guys a lot of opportunity at the beginning part of the lineup, which for Bailey Nickerson, that would be an awesome thing for her to step into as a freshman.
Paige Llewellyn fouls one over to the right side, and not making the catch is Threat. Oh, that's one that Memphis would love to have back because Ashley Threat, the first baseman, right underneath that one, couldn't squeeze it in. And Paige Llewellyn stays alive. That's one that even with the wind, it's blowing it actually back toward her. You probably have to make that play.
Yeah, that's a big out. I mean, when you look at Paige Llewellyn up to the plate, having the season that she's having so far. You got to take advantage of the times when she has a little miss hit and gave her back a chance to have a good at bat here.
Llewellyn fouls one back to the screen, 1-2. Jamie, Bailey Nickerson had 2 home runs on February 9th against Tennessee Tech. That was her first home run since then. That was all the way back at the second game of the season. Llewellyn sends one over to the right side, and Page is going to pop out anyway, fly out to second base. It's also a great sign, not just from the perspective, Jamie, that she's out of the 2-hole and starting to maybe get going with something like that, but hey, it's conference time. This is when you want your players to start to step up, and maybe that's a sign that Nickerson is.
Absolutely. You know, as a freshman, you've got your first games under your belt. You're starting to learn kind of how the coaching staff works, how college softball is going to play into your life for the next 4 years, and really settling in right when it counts.
1 ball and no strikes to Madison Perrigan, who steps in. Perrigan hit one pretty hard, but a liner to Brooke Lee at second base back in the second inning. So Madison is 0 for 1. And she fouls this one behind the plate. Does the catcher have room? Hadley does, and nicely done right there to retire the side, but not before another solo for the Shockers. A bomb by Bailey Nickerson to center field. We head to the 5th, and we're tied at 2 on WSU-TV.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Attention Shocker fans, want to shop the largest selection of Shocker merchandise at the official store of Wichita State University? The University Bookstore is located on the first floor of the Radigan Student Center on the campus of WSU. You can also shop online at wsubooks.com. Find everything you need for every generation of Shocker Nation. Join our Shocker Rewards program for cash back on future purchases. The University Bookstore, the place to shop. Well, if you want good softball, this is the place to be. Top of the 5th inning, Wichita State and Memphis. Conference opener tied at 2. And to start the inning for the Tigers, it's Kyler Trosclair-Klatt that will lead things off. She is the leadoff hitter for this team in their lineup as well. And she's done a good job of getting on base. She is 2 for 2. That was the second offering from Bailey Lang, and it's a 2-ball, no-strike count.
It's officially the most balls that Trosclair has seen in an at-bat so far tonight, because she has absolutely been on fire within the first few pitches of an at-bat. So she's someone that Wichita State's going to look to keep off the base paths. I mean, you can't really put her on here even with her speed. She's going to be a threat to you regardless of if she gets on base, you know, by walk or by hit.
Single and a triple in the game so far, taking a strike here with the 3-0 count. It's now 3-1. Her leadoff triple in the 3rd inning resulted in one of 2 runs for the Tigers that inning. At the time, they had a 2-1 lead before Wichita State answered with a solo homer in the bottom of the 4th. And Trosclair-Klatt is now 3 for 3 as she goes to the right side and into right field for a base hit. Jamie, that's the 3rd time Memphis has had their leadoff batter aboard in the game, and all 3 times it was Trosclair-Klatt leading off an inning that did it. So Bailey Smith will step in now. As you'd expect, she's showing bunt, but it's low and away, 1-0.
Yep, Trust Claire Klatt has definitely provided some opportunities today for Memphis. Already one of their runs. I'm sure Memphis would love to see her come all the way around again.
But up the first base side, pretty good one, and an errant throw, and the out will not be recorded, and Memphis is going to have runners at the corners. Nobody's at home, but alertly now, the Shockers get somebody there. But Riley Buck came up the first baseline, Jamie, and she threw that a little wide of the first base bag, and Kaylee Hecker, the second baseman, covering the bag, had to stretch, couldn't squeeze it in. That's going to be an error on Wichita State. For one of the two, you would presume, and now Christy Bredbender is out of the dugout and into the circle. See if we can't get another look at that momentarily and just check out the throw. That's not where Riley Buck wanted it to go. And Wichita State now is looking at nobody out, runners at the corners. Just a little bit wide of the bag right there, and it looked like Buck decided that she wanted, or excuse me, Hecker decided she wanted to stay on the bag, but by doing so couldn't reach out to snag that one. And now the Shockers are getting some activity down in the bullpen, and there's Bailey Klinsky. So a pretty important part of the game right here. Runners at the corners, nobody out. Top of the fifth inning in a 2-2 tie.
Now this is where I'm assuming that Coach Bredbender was probably talking a little bit about taking a deep breath, you know, getting the outs when you can. This is a big opportunity offensively for Memphis. This is one of their big innings, biggest innings that we've seen so far, with having a number of people on base. And that might have actually given just a little bit of time, enough time for Bailey Klinsky to get warm out in the bullpen with that timeout, as I think she might be coming in here.
In fact, there will be a pitching change as Klinsky will come in and Bailey Lang will head to the dugout. So a pitching change for Wichita State. And I believe that was going to be an E3 for the Shockers on the throw over to first base. Nonetheless, important position right here for Klinsky to come into the game, Jamie, with runners at the corners and nobody out. Not to mention the fact that look at the part of the order she's in. The number 3 hitter, Addison Maxwell, is up there now with her .329 average. And then you've got to deal with the cleanup hitter, Ashley Thread, after that, who's got 5 home runs on the season. So if you're Ryan Stefankowitz, what are you telling Bailey, or excuse me, Bailey Klinsky, I almost said Lang, what are you telling Bailey Klinsky out in the circle right now?
You know, with Bailey Klinsky, it's just a matter of hitting your spots. You know, don't try to do too much here. The biggest deal is to just get the outs and have your defense really help you here. Because when you look at Maxwell so far today, she's had a strikeout, she's had a bunt. You know, she moved her fellow runner around. So she hasn't seen a whole lot of pitches as far as the, you know, bat to ball with swings. So you want to see if you can really give her some, you know, things to look at. See if you can keep her off balance. And Threat, you know, has come up with a few line drives today. She's seeing the ball pretty well. So it's just a matter of Bailey Klinsky coming in here and throwing her game.
12th appearance of the season for Klinsky and 10th in relief. She has made more relief appearances than anybody else on this Wichita State team. 5-1 is her record. No saves, 4.03 her earned run average. Speaking of saves, it's funny because Bailey Lang not only leads this team with 9 wins, Jamie, but she's the only one with a save, and she's got 4 of those as well. Right here, win, save, nobody cares if you're in black and gold. You need some outs. And you need some, ideally, without any runs scoring, although that's not going to be easy against this great hitting Memphis team toward the top of their lineup, who has runners at the corners and nobody out. Addison Maxwell steps in. So Klinsky, the lefty, ready against a left-handed batter, Maxwell. And a good start for Bailey as it's a swing and a miss to Maxwell, 0-1. Maxwell is 0 for 1. She struck out back in the first inning and then grounded into a sacrifice in the third. Slaps one to left, pretty well struck. Morgan Palmer is back and makes the catch, but deep enough to get the run home. They're going to send one to second as well, and safe at second base is Bailey Smith. So it's a sacrifice fly to left for Maxwell that gives Memphis the 3-2 lead as Trosclair Clatt comes home to score.
That's what Memphis wanted to see. Maxwell doing what it took to get the ball out to the outfield, provide a nice little RBI insurance run for Memphis. It's a great job to get it out to the outfield in that situation, and really to provide the opportunity for Smith to go to second too. So now you got another runner in scoring position for Threat.
1 ball and no strikes to Threat. Down low, good stop by Perrigan. Tell you what, that was a pretty nice throw from Morgan Palmer in left field. She was backpedaling to her left, had to make that catch, then whip a throw to second base, and that was actually a pretty close play with Smith tagging from first base, which you rarely see, but a nice throw by Palmer and a pretty close play at second. Swing and a miss, 2-1. Bailey Smith reached on an error, now at second base. Memphis leading by 1. Chopped foul, 2-2. Threat's 5 home runs, tied for the team lead for Memphis, with Brooke Lee. A swing and a miss there, and a very big strikeout for Bailey Klinsky as Threat retired, swinging 2 away. And that one was a big one, Jamie.
Yeah, that's a great shot from Klinsky to come in and know that you really need to get your 2 outs. 2 outs quick, get the third out if you can right away, and she did a great job doing that. Fly ball, of course, that provided a run for Memphis, but a fly ball for a pitcher is a great job to do, and then to come back with a huge strikeout against someone who's definitely hit the ball well today.
Yeah, you're exactly right. If Wichita State can escape here with only 1 run scored after it was first and third with nobody out, I think Kristi Breadbender and company would take that for sure. They've got a chance here if Klinsky can retire Delaney Smith. That pitch misses, it's a ball. 2 balls and no strikes to Delaney Smith. Another very good hitter for this team. She's their starting center fielder, hitting .390 on the season to start the day. She is 1 for 2 today. And there for a strike, 2-1.
Talk about somebody with some speed. Delaney Smith, 20 stolen bases so far this season.
Bouncer, and she's out of the box, and she's going to get called out. And Bailey Klinsky dances out of the circle right there. Is another one called out for leaving the box early, this time Delaney Smith. So Memphis does score 1. It could have been much worse. We go to the bottom of the 5th, Wichita State down by 1. Bottom of the 5th inning, it's been a good one. Back and forth we've gone. Memphis right now leading Wichita State by the score of 3-2 as the Shockers drew the first run of the game in the bottom of the 1st inning, but then Memphis took the lead in the 3rd when they scored 2. The Shockers tied it in the 4th inning at 2 apiece with a single run, and now Memphis back up 1 as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. So it'll be Riley Buck that'll lead off for Wichita State. And taking something off there was Smith, and it's down 1 ball and no strikes to Buck.
You got to say, if the momentum is on one team's side right now, it's definitely Wichita State. The last 2 outings offensively for Memphis have ended in out of the box, slappers. So not giving themselves an opportunity to make the Shockers make that 3rd out, but instead getting themselves out.
Slow bouncer to second. Brooke Lee to her right, throws to first in time. A 4-3 put out there, and there's 1 away. So Asia Weber will step in now. 3 o'clock first pitch tomorrow, same 2 teams, and then we'll do it again on Sunday with an 11 o'clock first pitch. And again, no doubleheaders in American Athletic Conference play during the conference season, at least none scheduled. Of course, weather can change that throughout the season, but none scheduled. Single games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. First pitch to Weber, a strike, 0-1 to Asia. Sends one foul and out of play. Weber quickly behind in the count, 0-2. Asia popped out to 3rd back in the 2nd inning. 0 for 1, started the day with a batting average of .226. Bottom of 5, Shockers down 1. 0-2 now to Weber. And the pitch. Low and away. Bailey Klinsky is on deck for Wichita State, so she will bat next. Bouncer and another one to second. And Brooke Lee another chance and tosses to first in time. So a couple of quick ground outs to second, and now Bailey Klinsky will step up to the plate.
Lee at second base has made at least 4 of the outs tonight, so she's been pretty active there at second base. Doing a great job, providing a lot of leadership for her infield tonight.
First pitch to Bailey, taking off speed pitch for a strike. You were talking earlier in the game, Jamie, about Bailey Lang's hitting ability and how it's really starting to come around. How about Bailey Klinsky? We saw her get on base when she was a pinch hitter during the last homestand, and then she picked up her first career hit against Iowa last weekend. You know, she was pretty fired up about that.
Yeah, Bailey Klinsky, is a true pitcher here for Wichita State, but I'll tell you what, she did hit coming into college. She hit, as a select ball player. She hit in high school, so she's used to the scene, being at the plate. And I'll tell you what, she's done a pretty good job for her offense so far, being put into some pretty crucial situations as a hitter.
Low and away. And one thing I asked you, not knowing about somebody like Klinsky, who doesn't pitch nearly as frequently as Bailey Lang, is how often these guys or these gals take batting practice if you're not Bailey Lang. And you said normally it's very, very little, and that says a lot about their ability to come up and knock the ball around and get on base. Good contact there, but it's going to result in a ground out. Boy, did she get a good piece of it. But Klinsky grounds out, and the Shockers go in order in the 5th. So as we go to the 6th, Wichita State still down 1.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
For the first time tonight, Bailey Klinsky will start an inning. She came on in relief in the bottom of the fifth, trying to keep this tough Memphis offense at bay in a one-run game. Tigers 3, Wichita State 2. You can see that one error for Wichita State too, Jamie, and that was very costly. It came in the last inning, and it did lead to a Memphis run. This is not the time of year and not the time of team you can afford to do that very many times. So here we go. Brooke Lee, first pitch swinging, sends one deep, right field. And Weber going back, and Weber chases it down. She had a long way to go to get to that one, Jamie, and she did a good job in front of the track, one away on a long out to right field.
Yeah, that had a lot of power, but also a lot of height to it. And we've seen a couple of balls leave the yard when they had enough height to them. The wind's definitely blowing out toward left field, and that ball just continued to carry towards center. Asia Weber doing a great job keeping her eye on it and getting that first out for the Shockers.
Boy, Klinsky right there, very close to Reagan Hadley, working that outside part of the plate, just barely missed. Hadley, a second inning walk, grounded out in the fourth to second base. Once again, Klinsky trying to work the outer edge, just misses. Hadley is from Georgetown, Indiana. She attempted Floyd Central High School there. That one was a little bit high. Might have been back across the plate, but upstairs 3-0. And there's a strike. Boy, Bailey's working that outer edge of the plate, Jamie.
Yeah, it looks like she brought it just in enough to get the called strike. Don't want to see a walk here. Definitely want to make Lee do something here with it. Get your defense put into work.
Chopped foul at the plate.
Excuse me, this is Hadley.
So a good job by Klinsky to work the count back full now at 3-2. Hadley started the night with a .321 batting average. She is 0 for 1 tonight. No homers, 18 runs batted in. Hot shot, just foul down the third base line. The count still full at 3-2. Hadley no homers, Jamie, but this Memphis team has 15 coming into the game. Wichita State had just 6 home runs, although the Shockers have a pair of solo shots tonight. Nickerson and Derrico. Liner back up the middle, through for a base hit. And Reagan Hadley's aboard for the second time tonight on a single with 1 out. Her first base hit of the ball game, and with a runner at first, 1 away for Kendall Lee. Kansas over Clemson at the half, 40-27. Sweet 16 of college basketball. First pitch here to Kendall Lee is a ball, 1-0. Lee had that second inning double. Struck out in the fourth inning. One of only 2 strikeout victims for Bailey Lang. Bailey Klinsky came on in the fifth. She's already got 1. Pulled the string there, took something off, and a swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Nice little pitch from Klinsky. You're going to see an awesome changeup come from her. She does an awesome job from the left-hand side, throwing the ball really hard, but also coming in, pulling the string, keeping hitters off balance with that nice little changeup that she's got.
Came back with a lot more mustard that time and just barely missed. Bailey continuing to work the outer edge of the plate, but more often than not this inning, she's just barely missed. 2 balls and a strike. Swing and a miss there. She's really mixing them up well right now, Jamie.
That's really what it takes. You know, you got to hit your spots, mix it up a little bit. Klinsky looks really good, just in charge of every pitch that she throws thus far. Sometimes she'll struggle with throwing strikes, and tonight she's looking really great for the Shockers.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, and down goes Lee. Exasperated look on her face as Bailey Klinsky has already gotten 2 strikeouts. That matches what Bailey Lang did in 4 innings plus. And now they're 2 away with a runner at first.
It's a huge out for Klinsky. That's your designated player at the plate, definitely in because she's got a great stick. And man, she did an awesome job doing whatever it took to get the second out for Wichita State, pulling the string again. And that can be so frustrating as a hitter because you just are expecting one thing and you're getting something totally different. And Klinsky again just coming up with an opportunity for Wichita State to get out of this inning.
Memphis is going to go with a pinch hitter right here. Aaron Parker, the third baseman, was due up. They're going to go with Tyler Johnson, who's a junior from Lakewood, California. So Johnson will be the pinch hitter for Parker with 2 outs and a runner at first. This is the number 9 batter in the Memphis order. So we'll go top of the order next. Johnson takes a strike from Klinsky, 0-1. Well, Bailey Klinsky so far, Jamie, has done the job of keeping Memphis at bay. Don't forget she came in the last inning with runners at the corners and nobody out. She did give up a sacrifice fly, which was a run not charged to her, but she has done a number on this Memphis team outside of that, including right there. Swing and a miss for a strike.
Tyler Johnson has 8 RBIs on the season so far.
It's funny, she's got 6 hits and 36 at-bats, but 8 runs batted in. No dice here. Bouncer to first, and Buck will step on the bag. So a good job by Bailey Klinsky. Retires 3. Did give up a 1-out single to Hadley. We go to the bottom of the 6th. 3-2 Tigers.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Wichita State down to their final 6 outs as we move to the bottom of the 6th inning in a 3-2 game. The Shockers have 2 runs on 2 hits, both of them solo home runs. And we've got a very good chance to see both home run hitters this inning. It'll be Morgan Palmer to lead off the inning, then Mackenzie Wright and Bailey Nickerson. Nickerson has 1 of the solo home runs for the Shockers. If anybody gets aboard, then we'll see the other recipient of a solo homer, Lori Derrico, who would hit 4th here in the inning. Steve Strain, Jamie Hull with you on a Friday night from Wilkins Stadium. And Jamie, you know the Shockers would love to see Derrico get aboard and get to the plate this inning because they're just 1 run down. That would give them a pretty good chance of tying the score at the very least.
Yeah, and you would think as Molly Smith, you know, for Memphis, you're going to look at the scoreboard and think, man, I've only given up 2 hits and it's this close of a ball game. You know, Memphis has got 8 hits against Wichita State's 2, but those 2 have been incredibly powerful and certainly game changers each time that they've come through.
Foul back to the screen, 1-1 the count to Palmer. Morgan is 0 for 1, and if the Shockers are able to come back and at least tie this score, if not win it, let's already not remember the job and relief that Bailey Klinsky has done in 1 inning plus, coming into the top of the 5th inning. Lined center field. Smith going back and makes the catch. Oh, she had to reach up and haul that one in. Not an easy catch, and there's one away. That's a shame for Wichita State, Jamie. That's your number 9 hitter who's batting 190, and that's a huge plus if she gets on board.
Absolutely, and that was a nice piece of hitting from Palmer. I really don't think that, you know, out in the outfield and Smith, that she was expecting a ball that was going to be hit as hard as that, and you saw her make the nice adjustment with the step back. Made a great play. I think Palmer, with her speed, could have had an opportunity to definitely make that into a double for Wichita State to start it off, so great play out of Smith.
Mackenzie Wright steps in, takes a ball low and in, 1-0. Here's somebody who's hit the ball well both times she's been to the plate tonight, but really doesn't have anything to show for it. Hot shot ground out to short, and then a line drive to right field that was caught by Addison Maxwell in the 3rd inning. Let's see if Mackenzie can make good contact and get aboard. Not here, fouls one back to the screen. Temperature still hovering around 70 degrees, winds still blowing around 20 miles an hour. As we've moved just past 7:30 Central Time. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count to Wright. In tight for a ball, 2-1.
I think Smith really wants that inside pitch. I don't think she's had it called all night tonight, but man, it still looks good, and I think she was really hoping that that would be an opportunity to get ahead of Mackenzie Wright here at this at-bat.
Two balls and a strike. Off speed, lined left field, base hit. And there it is. Mackenzie earned that one after making good contact in her previous 2 at-bats. This time the payoff and a single with 1 away. So Bailey Nickerson will step in now after a nice at-bat for Wright. You could see right there, Jamie, she saw the off-speed pitch and almost started her motion and then hesitated, waited on it, and drove it to left field.
Yeah, that's a good piece of hitting when Wright can readjust, bring her arms back to the starting position where she can make a nice little piece of hitting out of it. She did a great job with that pitch off the arm of Smith here from Memphis.
Bailey Nickerson in now, takes a strike, 0-1. Of course, Nickerson has one of the solo home runs for the Shocker, and the batter on deck, Lori Derrico's got the other. Barring a double play here, we're going to see Derrico bat next. So these are the 2 that have done the damage offensively for Wichita State. Shockers hoping desperately they can do it here in the bottom of the 6th. Outside for a ball.
Nickerson's definitely in good company, Steve. We talked about this earlier, just with a really powerful beginning half of this lineup for Wichita State. Mackenzie Wright is 7th in batting average overall. Lori Derrico is 2nd in slugging percentage, and Paige Llewellyn is 3rd, with Mackenzie Wright in 4th, both with their batting averages just overall here at Wichita State as far as the record books go. So a lot of great power at the beginning where Bailey Nickerson is looking to fit right in as a freshman.
That one came up a little bit to Nickerson, and she swung and missed. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Corner infielders playing about even with the bag. Up the middle, they look for the double play. Here comes the 1-2. Lifted and out of play, foul behind the plate. And the count still holds. So Mackenzie Wright's 1-out single, the first base hit for the Shockers tonight that was not a home run. Wichita State's got 3 hits, a pair of home runs, and a single. 1 ball and 2 strikes to count at the plate. And on the pitch to Nickerson. That one would have been ball 2. Instead, it's back toward the screen and out of play. That one was at least letter high to Nickerson. Easy to say back here when that one's coming at you with the kind of velocity that Smith puts on it, though.
Yeah, you got to
react quickly.
Exactly, and anything close, too. You know, Nickerson knows this is an opportunity. You got to put the ball in play. We've seen a lot of fly balls off of Smith today with that rise ball in the zone, so she's going to do her best to stay on top of it and put the ball in play for the Shockers.
The 1-2 outside. Counts now even at 2-2. Both Christy Brettbenner and Ryan Stefankowitz, the coaches at third and first, have gone with the warm-ups as sun's gone down, wind's still blowing. Wind didn't matter for Nickerson's home run earlier in the game back in the 4th. She got every bit of it. Sends this one to the right side. Maxwell started back, then comes in and makes the catch 2 away. So here comes Lori Derrico. Her home run came in the 1st inning. Boy, would the Shockers love that right here. Get a 2-run homer, give your team the lead, then take it to the top of the 7th, up by at least a run. That'd be handy.
It would be. When you look over at Wright at first base, you know, she was the first hit of the game for the Shockers that didn't leave the yard. So definitely a lot of opportunities for this offense to be powerful and with one swing of the bat, change the game.
Derrico's got 4 round trippers on the season. And that one away for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Shockers with 21 home runs as a team on the season now after they've picked up their 2 here tonight. Memphis with 15. Liner the other way, through for a base hit. Now a juggle in right field. They're going to send the runner to third, and Mackenzie Wright's there. And the Shockers now with runners at the corners with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Not sure if that juggle in right field allowed Wright to get to third anyway. I think Mackenzie, with 2 outs, was running obviously on contact anyway. Might have made it there regardless. No error has been put up. The Shockers, though, now have the tying run down at third base in Mackenzie Wright. The go-ahead run is at first in Lori Derrico, who just picked up her 2nd hit of the ball game. Here it is again, and you'll see Maxwell charging in right there, juggles it. And there was no doubt Mackenzie Wright was on her way to third. And the Shockers now can tie it up with a Paige Llewellyn base hit here. So a huge at bat in the ball game, and the first pitch to Paige. High fly ball left field. Smith right at her, barely moves, make the catch, side retired. So the Shockers threaten, but they leave him at the corners. We go to the 7th. Memphis 3, Wichita State 2. Insurance time for the Memphis Tigers. Bailey Klinsky, and you see there on the circle, is going to try to keep that from happening. 3-2 Tigers have the lead. They've doubled up the Shockers in hits. They've got 1 more run than does Wichita State. But Jamie, maybe that number on that line score that means the most, that one error by Wichita State that eventually led to a run, the go-ahead run at that.
Yeah, that was on the short game, not making the play, you know, with the sacrifice bunt. And sometimes the short game ends up winning ball games, you know. So at the end of the day, it's all about putting pressure on your defense for each of these offensive lineups. And Memphis has just come one step ahead of the Shockers thus far in that category.
Claire Klatt fouls the first pitch out of play, 0-1 to her. And she has been a very tough out, as you would expect from a player hitting .438 coming into the game. But she is 3 for 3 tonight with a pair of singles and a third-inning triple as well. Good contact here, and backing up is Palmer. And Morgan will make the catch, and the big first out. Claire Klatt a fly out to left field, 1 away. Wind is blowing out to left, but that one not quite struck well enough as Palmer had plenty of room.
Yeah, if there's one time to get Claire Klatt out, it would definitely be this time, and that's the first time she's been retired tonight. It's a really big out, both from the arm of Klinsky and the great backup play by Morgan Palmer in the outfield.
Average-wise, it actually gets harder here, though. Bailey Smith, who started the night at .472, stepping in now. Low and away for a ball. She's the one that laid down the bunt back in the 5th inning, and it was Riley Buck, the first baseman, that charged in, threw back to her second baseman, Hecker, covering the bag at first, but the throw was wide of the bag, and it got away from Hecker, and eventually a run scored for Memphis in the inning. Claire Klatt was trying to be moved from first to second on the play, Jamie, but she went first to third after the error and eventually scored on a sacrifice fly. So a very, very tough unearned run back in the top of the 5th inning for Memphis. 3 balls, no strikes here to Smith. Madison Perrigan has gone out to talk to her pitcher here. It was Klinsky that came on to give up the sacrifice fly. The run was charged to Bailey Lang, but still, again, what a job by Bailey in relief. Nobody was out in the 5th inning either, so she's essentially pitched 2 1/3, even though we were already into the 5th inning when she came in. There was a couple of runners on. 3 balls and a strike now, the count here to Smith. Low, ball 4, and Bailey lost her, and she's frustrated. Down to first base goes Smith. So Smith down at first, Addison Maxwell in now, and she's got, to her credit, a pair of sacrifices, 1 a bunt and 1 a fly out. And a shot lifted to center field. This one pretty well struck. It's going to roll to the fence. Smith is heading to third. She'll get there. Throw gets away, and now she's off the bag. Do they get her in time? They did. Another base running mistake for Memphis with 1 out and a runner at third base, but a big turn at the bag by Bailey Smith, who's tagged out, and now we hope she's all right. She is still down in the dirt over at third base.
Yeah, it looks like she just took too wide of a turn and then makes the comeback throw here to try and get the out at third base. Looks like she's okay if she's able to walk off on her own, but you see it here, the kind of fake throw down home, and then ends up being a nice little toss over to third base for the out. That's huge for Wichita State. Bailey Klinsky and Mackenzie Wright working together to get that out over at third.
Now, Bailey is kind of a freewheeler. Did she pump fake on purpose to throw home to try to catch Smith napping, or was she instinctively catching that ball and thinking Smith might have been heading home? Either way, it was an alert play to go back to Mackenzie Wright, but watch the pump fake by Bailey Klinsky home. Not sure if she had intended to pump fake home or if she was trying to fake the runner out. I think she actually thought she was going home.
I do too, and then she made the little flip play, so it just shows the athleticism of Bailey Klinsky. Look how excited she is to make that out. You know, as a pitcher, your second out is so important, and when you make it at third base, that feels pretty good.
Memphis coaches aren't happy about something. I'm not sure if it was just the call at third or what, but they're not happy about something. So that's another big base running mistake for Memphis in this game, Jamie. And if Wichita State is to tie this game or win it, that's two huge base running errors for the Tigers in the game. But Shockers not out of the woods yet. Maxwell's down at second, and here now is Ashley Threat. And Threat takes the first pitch of ball, 1-0. So Maxwell's at second. Now time has been called. And a conversation with the home plate umpire. There may be a courtesy runner about to be brought into the game for Memphis. It looks like there is. Natalie Poole is the head coach of Memphis, by the way. Andy Lott is their first base coach. Poole is in her 7th season. Jesse Lamb is the courtesy runner out at second base for the Tigers. 1 ball and no strikes. Threat at the plate. And the pitch is in there for a strike, 1-1. Memphis had some chances early in the game. The very first inning, they had him at the corners with 2 out, 2 away, couldn't capitalize. Had a big base running miscue in the second inning, another one here. So they've had their chances, and they've made some mistakes on the base paths, but they still are clinging to a 1-run lead. A swing and a miss that counts 1-2 to Threat. Good teams like the Shockers can many times make you pay when you make mistakes like that. Can Wichita State in the bottom of the 7th inning? Foul back and out of play. Shockers will be down by at least 1. That was a really nice look at the not only Wilkins Stadium field, but also X Stadium, where the Shockers are playing baseball against Furman tonight. There you see it. Breeze still blowing as well. Out to left field from the south. At game time, it was just over 20 miles an hour. Threat fouls it at the plate. She's still alive, 1-2. Delaney Smith waits on deck. This top half of the Memphis lineup, Jamie, just murderer's row. Batting averages from 1 through 5. 438, 472, 329, 362, and 390. The 1-2. Lifted. Foul. No room for Perrigan. Still 1-2. The next 2 in their order are 321 and 321. So nobody in the top 7 below 321.
Very impressive, especially against, a great little season that they've had. I mean, they've faced some great teams so far, too, and so that just goes to show you how good of a hitting and pitching team that this Memphis team really is all around.
Swing and a miss, strike 3, and down goes Threat. What a job by Bailey Klinsky. Don't know if the Shockers will come back and win, but hats off to Bailey for keeping Wichita State close. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Shockers down 1.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Wichita State needs 1 to tie, 2 to win. And they've got a pretty good stick up there to start things off. Madison Perrigan, you can see her right there trying to get a read on Molly Smith, who's warming up. Riley Buck and Asia Weber after that. 6, 7, and 8. Perrigan, Buck, and Weber due up for the Shockers, needing a run to tie and 2 to win. First ever American Athletic Conference game for Wichita State. Memphis is the opponent, and Jamie, it's been a good one tonight.
Absolutely. These two teams, like we talked about earlier, coming in ranked 5th and 6th in the American Conference preseason poll. And man, they have sure shown that they are a very strong 5th and 6th. Definitely expecting both of these teams to finish a lot higher than that, as they have shown so far that they are great, great teams all around.
First pitch to Perrigan is in there for a strike, 0-1. Madison is 0 for 1. She lined out and flied out. Shockers desperately need that leadoff batter aboard here. 0-1 to Perrigan. A little bit high, 1-1. What a huge boost it would be if Perrigan can get aboard. Get that leadoff batter aboard in the bottom of the last inning, down by only a run. Be a huge boost for the Shockers. Let's see if Perrigan can do it. In tight for a ball, 2-1.
No, Perrigan actually struggled, earlier in the season, went 5 for 30 through her first 13 games, but then 10 for 26 with 3 home runs and 12 RBIs. So, like you said earlier, Steve, if there's a one time to turn it on, it's definitely when conference play has begun.
We saw her put up some big numbers when the Shockers were here to play Arkansas and then Missouri State and Western Illinois a couple of weeks ago. Takes one inside here, and that count is now 3-1. So Madison now 1 ball away from getting a free pass with Riley Buck waiting on deck. 91st pitch of the game for Molly Smith. Upstairs, ball 4. And the leadoff batter aboard for Wichita State is Madison Perrigan, draws the 5-pitch walk. Christy Bredbender is going to go to the dugout, get a courtesy runner for Perrigan, and now we'll see what Riley Buck does. Buck batting .319 on the season, Jamie, but this might be a situation where she's just asked to lay one down. Cassidy Kelsheimer is out of the dugout. She will run for Wichita State. So you've got a .319 hitter here. Do you bunt or do you let Riley swing away?
I think that you might be looking to do some small game, keep this game going. Riley Buck is absolutely somebody who can put the ball out into the outfield, make a difference, put the ball over the fence even with her power. But sometimes, like we talked about, short game can really make a big difference in the game of softball. Give you an opportunity to put some runners in scoring position in a time like this.
She represents the go-ahead run in the bottom of the 7th inning. She is squaring, and it's fouled back to the screen. Buck has a couple of ground outs tonight, one to the pitcher and one to second base. So she has not been able to get it out of the infield. That's not easy to do against Molly Smith, though. Take nothing away from Riley. She's facing a very, very good pitcher and a big situation here. The 0-1. She got it down up the third baseline. Only throw to first, just in the nick of time. And Ryan Stefankowitz has his cap off, and he's got to be careful there because the first base umpire looked like he wanted to ring him up. Stefankowitz really upset at the call at first base. It'll still be a sacrifice, 2-3, but a bang-bang play at first base.
It was an awesome bunt by Riley Buck. Look at it just die here. That's a great, great opportunity for Wichita State, and Hadley comes up with a nice throw, and it is definitely a close call. I can see the passion in Ryan Stefankowitz at first base, really wanting that, to have nobody out and 2 runners on is definitely a better situation than they're in right now. But hey, got the runner over, and that's exactly what she wanted to do.
Low and away to Asia Weber, 1-0. That putout actually went 2-4 on the sacrifice over at first base. Nonetheless, runner at second now, 1 away. And looking at the replay, Jamie, I did think the right call was probably made, as it looks like Memphis now might be making a pitching change here. Natalie Poole signaled, I thought, down to the bullpen. That would be very interesting if she's going to take her ace pitcher out of the game right here, but it looked like she motioned that way. Big part of the game, 3-2. Memphis has the lead, but Wichita State's got the tying run at second base. There will not be a pitching change. Maybe she was just motioning time to the third base umpire. I thought she had called for relief help, which would have been an interesting decision had she such a good pitcher in there. So the count's 1 no strikes to Asia Weber, who is hitless tonight. She is flied out to third and grounded out to second, so she also has yet to get one out of the infield. 1 no strikes, and the pitch taken for a strike, 1-1. Boy, does this Shocker team, Jamie, and this is my 4th year here, have a knack for bottom of the 7th inning magic, though. It seems like year after year, this team is able to put things together when it matters the most. High and away, 2-1.
Sometimes what can really define a team is what they do under pressure. And Wichita State has done an awesome job so far, you know, like you said, Steve, just within the recent years of coming out on top when they weren't expected to and when they're behind. And that makes a big difference in a good team versus a great team.
Swing and a miss. The count's even, 2-2. Christy Bredbenner has brought Caitlin Bingham out on deck. The pitcher's spot is due up, and Caitlin Bingham instead will be the next batter, barring a double play, which is not likely with 1 out and a runner at second. Wichita State down by 1. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and down goes Weber. And now it'll be Bingham as the Shockers' final chance. So Bingham steps in, hitting .262 on the season. She's picked up 11 hits in 42 at-bats. Couple of homers and 6 runs batted in. And it's up to Caitlin if the Shockers are going to stay alive down by a run. Well, no matter what happens, Jamie, what a start to American Athletic Conference play for Wichita State. And I have a feeling with the caliber of competition in this conference, again, nobody ranked lower than 150 in the RPI. We're going to see a lot of dogfights that go right down to the last at bat, just like this.
Yeah, I've said it over and over with the 5th and 6th preseason poll for these two. It's hard to say because there's so many great teams. Where do you rank them? You kind of consider them all, you know, the top 3 of the conference because of how well they've played so far.
Bingham takes for a strike, 0-1. Caitlin had been starting pretty regularly for the Shockers, now coming off the bench. High for a ball. Clutch situation here. Runner at second is the tying run. 1 ball and 1 strikes. And sometimes this is the best situation to put somebody in who you've just taken out of the starting lineup. They want to prove that they're still worth starting. So a great chance in that regard for Caitlin.
And Caitlin has some power. 429 slugging percentage, 333 on base percentage. She's a great hitter and definitely someone who can provide an opportunity for Wichita State in this really crucial situation at the plate.
Oh, she fouled that one, I think, off the mask of catcher Reagan Hadley, who has to shake that one off and says she's okay. But the Shockers are down to their final strike. Smith has only struck out 3 on the night. And I say only because she has recorded 126 coming into the game. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Game on the line. Here comes the pitch. Swung on and missed. That's the ball game. A good one tonight from Wilkins Stadium, but Memphis comes away with the 1-run victory as Wichita State's first game in conference play starts on the losing side, 3-2. We'll be back with the final wrap right after this.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
The first ever American Athletic Conference game for the Wichita State Shockers is in the books, but it goes the way of the road team. Memphis 3, Wichita State 2. Steve Strain and Jamie Hull back at Wilkins Stadium. Memphis now 22-7 overall on the year, and Wichita State falls to 16-11. Obviously, Memphis 1-0 in the conference, and Wichita State 0-1. And Jamie, with all of the games we're going to see in this conference that are going to go right down to the wire, and this might be something Christy Bredbender is talking about right now, you've got to do so many little things the right way. And you hate to bring this up for Riley Buck, but that throw to first base on a bunt attempt a little bit wide of the bag didn't seem real significant at the time, but it eventually allowed a run to score, and that one of the big differences in this game.
Yeah, short game can definitely make a difference in the game of softball or baseball. You got to do the little things right, make the plays when you can. You know, the pitching staffs for both of these teams did an awesome job. Hitting did a great job. So it's just a matter of really cleaning it up and making sure that you do the little things right each time.
Yeah, especially when you face somebody like Molly Smith, the pitcher for Memphis. Room for error is very small, and there was no room for that error. Wichita State loses by 1. In spite of a couple of home runs, Lori Derrico, some early fireworks there. Got one up into the breeze. Out it went. And, of course, the other one by Bailey Nickerson on a home run to center field. Wichita State, though, falls 3-2 to start conference play. We'll do it again at 3 o'clock tomorrow. So tune in then. For Jamie, I'm Steve. Enjoy your Friday night. We'll talk to you from the Wilk tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So long, everybody.